When the United States entered World War I, it had no tank doctrine, no armoured tradition, and no real understanding of what a tank should be. The earliest American designs were not weapons of manoeuvre, but armoured machines of protection. The CLB-75 was little more than a tractor sealed inside a steel box. It lacked a turret, offered minimal visibility, and moved at the pace of industrial machinery rather than battlefield combat. This was not a tank meant to fight. It was a machine meant to survive. The Holt gas electric followed a different path. It became America's first gasoline-electric hybrid tank. On paper, it was revolutionary. In reality, its enormous weight and complex drivetrain turned European mud into an impassable enemy. The skeleton tank represented a more creative idea. Instead of thicker armour, American engineers reduced ground contact entirely. Its steel tube frame allowed it to cross trenches without sinking. But the structure was too fragile for real warfare. 24 tonnes et main 928. Small, cheap, mass-producible. The Model T of tanks, it reflected a uniquely American belief that numbers and industry could overwhelm the battlefield. The war ended before that theory could be tested. America's first true tank arrived with the M1917 light tank, a licensed copy of the French Renault FT. For the first time, the United States adopted the modern tank layout, a rotating turret, balanced crew positions, and a design focused on practicality rather than experimentation. The massive Mark 8 Liberty, a joint British-American project, pushed size and firepower to extremes, built to cross wide trenches. It proved that logistical reality could defeat even the largest machine. Finally, the M19-1 and M19 to medium tanks marked a quiet transition. The American tank was beginning to take shape. Not as a novelty, but as a system. Between the wars, America had time to experiment. The T1 light tank series pursued speed above all else, agile, but so lightly armoured that survivability became optional. Then came Walter Christie, the T1 Christie M1919 and the M1931. Christie introduced suspension systems that transformed armoured warfare. These tanks could run on tracks or wheels, reaching unprecedented road speeds. The US Army remained skeptical. Foreign powers were not. Christie's ideas would later shape Soviet and German tanks, while America moved on without him. The M1 combat car existed largely because of legal technicalities, by avoiding the word tank. The US Army continued armoured development under cavalry doctrine. The M2 light tank series refined earlier mistakes. Balanced mobility, reliability, and firepower. It became the direct ancestor of one of World War II's most famous vehicles. In the medium category, the T4 and M2 medium tanks revealed hesitation. The M2, armed with numerous machine guns, reflected America's defensive mindset, prepared for infantry suppression. But not yet for armoured duels. World War II. Industry enters the battlefield. The M3 Stuart was fast, dependable, and mechanically sound. British crews nicknamed it Honey. Affection earned through reliability. The M3 Lee and Grant were compromises. Their main gun sat in the hull, not the turret, a temporary solution, but one that allowed American forces to field effective firepower quickly. Then came the M for Sherman. The Sherman was not the most heavily armoured. It was not the most powerful. It was the most producible, easy to repair, simple to maintain, available everywhere. The Sherman embodied American warfare. Victory through logistics, standardization, and scale. The M6 heavy tank showed America's reluctance toward heavy armour, too heavy for bridges, too complex for transport. It quietly disappeared. Specialized roles emerged. The M20 Locust could be carried by glider. The M20 for Chaffee delivered mobility with real firepower, becoming one of the finest reconnaissance tanks of the war. The M26 Pershing arrived late, but it arrived necessary. For the first time, American armour could confront German Tigers directly. At the extreme end stood the T-28 and T-95. Slow, massive, nearly indestructible, designed to break fortified lines. They were solutions for a war that was already ending. The T9, the Trintanchiter, pushed tank design further. Created to hunt the King Tiger. Monsters built for monsters. Cold War and Vietnam. The birth of the main battle tank. The Patton series, M46 through M48, defined post-war American armor. The M48, in particular, became inseparable from the Vietnam War. Built for open battlefields. It now fought an invisible enemy. The M41 Walker Bulldog proved light tanks still mattered. Speed remained a weapon. The M103, America's final heavy tank, carried a 120mm gun to destroy Soviet armor from distance. It was powerful and obsolete almost immediately. The M60 Patton represented clarity. Firepower, protection, mobility combined into a single platform. The American main battle tank was born. The M551 Sheridan was a bold gamble. Aluminum armor. Air-droppable. Capable of firing missiles. Innovative. But unforgiving. The MBT-70 was a vision of the future. Too complex. Too expensive. A reminder that technology alone does not win wars. Modern era. Abrams and the question of tomorrow. The M1 Abrams redefined armored warfare. A turbine engine. Composite armor. Unmatched survivability. The M1A1 became an icon in the Gulf War. Speed, firepower, dominance. The M1A2 entered the digital age. Thermal sights. Networked battlefield awareness. The tank became a sensor platform. The M10 Booker signals a return to purpose. Direct fire support for infantry. Abrams X and M1E3 look ahead. Hybrid power. Unmanned turrets. Reduced weight. Survivability in an age of drones and precision missiles. The history of American tanks is not the pursuit of perfection. It is the pursuit of adaptability, from armored tractors to digital battle systems. Each design reflects the fears, assumptions, and realities of its time. Steel remembers history. And on the battlefield, design is destiny.